Now we will see a small walkthrough on the S3 services. Okay, now I will search for the S3 services. Under the Amazon S3, you can see the S3 buckets column, and I will try to create a new bucket. So here the bucket name should be a unique one, as it is a global and it should be globally unique name you have to provide. Say I will, and it will not accept any capital letters. It's case sensitive. So I will select some junk character. I will say my bucket 217376. Like, let's see whether it is available. And I'm going to select a North Virginia region. Though the S3 is global services and it is not bind to any regions, it should be physically stored in some region. So I'm going to select AWS region as North Virginia. Here, if I want to copy any existing settings, I can choose the bucket here. This is block public access. If it is going to be a private accessible S3, then you need to have this one enabled. If it is going to be a publicly accessible S3 bucket, then you need to disable this. Now I will create a publicly accessible S3 bucket. So I'm going to unblock all public access. So it will allow my public access. And this is an acknowledgement for that. Next is bucket versioning. We will see a small demo for the public versioning. In case if you enable public versioning, bucket versioning, if you accidentally delete or if you modify anything, you have the existing version. If you want to revert that, you can easily revert from that. Tags is just naming conversion, key value pair. The default encryption. If you want to enable encryption, you can enable from here. It will allow server-side encryption. Okay. If you see, you can ask Amazon S3 to take care of the encryption, or you can use KMS service also to take care of the encryption, or you can use your own keys. I am not going to enable the encryption now. This is for object locks. This is uses warm model, like write once, read many. If you want to lock that, if you want to disable the delete or decrease the retention period, you can use from here. This is for the compliance or the governance objective. Now I'm going to create the bucket. My new bucket is created. Fortunately, I got the same name. Okay, maybe we can see this is the bucket name and which region it is stored, and access is public accessible and when it is created. Now I will go into my bucket. First thing, if you want to upload any objects, you can upload from here. If you want to create any folder, you can say I'm going to create a test folder. The encryption can be enabled specifically to objects also, specific folders. So you can select from there. Now I'm going to go to that folder and upload a file. Here I can upload any files practically to here. I'm going to upload an index.html file. This is the destination details, and what all the things I have enabled. Bucket versioning I have not. This encryption is disabled, object lock is disabled, and what is the permissions. What are the permissions I can provide? I can define from here. Grant public access, or if you have any control list, you can use here. I'm not going to provide any other things. If you want to select any storage class also, you can select from here. We will see this in detail later. Okay, if you want to add any metadata to that, like any other information to the metadata, you can do it from here. Now I'm going to upload it. I have uploaded it now. You see my files is here. Now let's go to my S3 bucket here. We will see the actions. If you want to copy the URL or S3 URI, you can do it from here. If you want to download, okay, you can straight away go here and select and you can download. Also, you can straight away open. See, it will open a file from here. If you want to delete, you can do here. And other options as like if you want to calculate the size, rename, edit metadata. If you want to make public, you can do it from here. I already created as a public thing. Though the S3 buckets as public, you want to make the files as public to accessible from outside. Now I'm going to create my index.html file as public here. Okay, I will go to my bucket. See, we have seen the action files here. What are the action items we can do? Now we will go to the property section. Under the property section, you have bucket versioning, encryption, which we have already seen. Some how you want to intelligently archive your files or folders, you can do it from here. If you want to have any access logs, who is accessing your S3 buckets, you can do it. If you want to enable cloud trial, you can do it from here. You can create an event notification also. Say for example, okay, I'm not going to enable it, I will explain it. If you want, say for example, if someone puts a files inside your S3 bucket, you want to have some actions to trigger. Say you want to run an Lambda functions, or you want to send a mail or trigger an alert to you, you can select from here. Here you can select the configurations, what type of actions like put, post, copy, someone does, someone deletes. You can have the actions here, and these are the event triggers. Like if you want to enable Lambda, you can do here SNS, SQS, you can do it from here. So this will help in your event notifications. The object lock is for governance. The requester pays is like if usually the bucket owner who pays for the any transfer file in and out. But if you want the requester to do that, you can enable this. Static website hosting is like if you want to enable have a static website content, you can do it from here instead of a load balancer and a server. We will see this later in detail. Next is permissions. So I have provided a public access, so it is public accessible. If you have any bucket policy, say for example you want to put any policy to the whole bucket, some any restrictions, you can use the bucket policy to do that. The object ownership, if you want to change the ownership, you can do it from here. So which permissions for the bucket owner, everyone, like some authenticated users, you can edit from here and provide access to the different users through ACL. So this shows the metrics, the number of objects by size, the replication metrics, the overall metrics you can see here. Life cycle is, we will see this in detail later. If you say for example life cycle, you want an S3 bucket in a standard format for 30 days. After that, if you want to move to Glacier, or if you want to move to infrequent access, and then you can to move the glaciers, you can notify here. We can see this later in detail. So these are the major, these are like access points, like VPC endpoints. This can be accessed from outside or within the VPC. So these things we can see this later. So we have created an S3 bucket and see some basic common features of an S3 bucket here. Now we will try to delete it. Okay, if you try to delete it, say I will try to delete from here. Okay, before deleting, I can show here. See, you cannot be able to delete because you don't have an empty bucket. You have a files inside, so you cannot delete it. First, you need to empty the bucket. I'm going to permanently delete it. This is for the confirmation. Okay, now I have emptied my bucket. I don't have anything inside my bucket now. Then it will allow me to delete it. So if I click delete bucket, the whole bucket will be deleted.